to do something, and it turns out that whatever it tells me to do, that option isn't available. Or sometimes it'll be a bash command, and it'll come back and say, and I'm giving it a command to a program, and it'll say, come back and say, I mean, I'll feed it what the answer that it gives, and he says, "Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. That isn't available in that program." Things like that.
I
That
think
happens
Huey
all the
would,
time.
I think Huey would agree. You have to be really specific when you're asking a question, particularly about a particular device. Tell what model and year it is, so
Oh
it'll
yeah,
match.
you do that, but it still gets it wrong lots of times.
Hmm.
And sometimes you'll end up going around in circles. You'll ask it a question, and it'll and you'll go through about 3 iterations, and you end up with the answer that you got the first time that was wrong.
That's
Oh,
when I go to one of the other chat.
Well, I do too. See if it'll do any better.
Yeah, and then they start to argue back with you as well. I actually got into an argument with Perplexity, and I knew for a fact it was completely wrong, but it says, actually, it's found in this. And I go, no, it isn't. It's found in this. And I gave it the time frame and exactly where it was. And then after like a half an hour of going through all this crap, it finally realized that all the stuff that it had said before was completely wrong.
hmm.
I did something with ChatGPT the other day that I didn't know that it could even do. I was working in Linux, and I wanted to install a piece of software, and the software ends in an extension called DEB. And inside the software, it knows what other programs it's dependent on so that it can install those at that time. And it was dependent on version 1 of some other program, only my computer was already running version 2. So ChatGPT asked me to upload the file, and it would remove the dependency for me. And it did. I uploaded the file, and then it had me download a zip file, and the darn thing installed.
That reminds me, on one of my Linux machines, it's just annoying. I keep getting this message pop up saying Firefox can be updated, but it doesn't update. And maybe a week or two later it will actually update. Then another week or so it'll start getting this pop up again for a few weeks until it finally updates. But restarting and things like that doesn't restart it. And of course I'm doing the apt update all the time, and that doesn't get it. It's on the other Linux machine that doesn't happen. I don't understand the difference.
It could be the repo that you're using on, might be 2 different machines, 2 different repos.
No, they're both using exactly the same repo. In fact, I've got 4 machines running, and only one of them does that on it, but they're all the same. We seem to have an awfully quiet audience. Are you sure you've got everybody in?
Yeah, they're just
Ellis,
not awake
I'm
this morning.
I'm just sort of holding my voice
Gentlemen, I have something to share. I just read a report from Microsoft Teams, and after using AI for 6 months, their cognitive declined. And they said, what you have to do some different steps when you get AI to give you all your answers. You need to then turn it off and write down what you have learned so that it'll settle into your mind. So while AI is wonderful, it's not asking you to use your brain for retention. I just thought I should share that with you this morning. And I know you're all wonderful at AI. I thought I'd send the article to Huey and let him share it. But enjoy. All right.
Thanks, Alva, go ahead.
Yeah, I just became aware yesterday of the most successful YouTuber. His name is Jimmy Donaldson. Have you heard of him? And his YouTube is Mr. Beast.
Oh, Mr. Beast. Yeah. Oh,
and he earned $85 million in 2024. according to
owns,
Forbes.
he's almost a billionaire now. He has multiple production companies. He has he's making movies. He's doing all sorts of stuff. I think he's even starting a social media platform as well. He's into a lot of, but he's only, how old is he, Alva? Is he only,
He's in his 20s.
yeah, he's in his
I-
20s. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
impressive. Yeah.
He started a
He started on
restaurant.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
Mr.
restaurant
Beast.
and some kind of packaged food, and he's got his fingers in a lot of things, but I'd never heard of him. My sons have heard of him, but I
Yeah.
had not.
Anybody under the age of, let's say, 40 everyone's heard of Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. My
Was that
grandson, who's 8 years old, says, "Grandpa, do you know Mr. Beast?"
is that BEAST?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the monster.
Mr. Beast. So
If
it's
there's reincarnation, we're all coming back, and we're going to be the same way. We're going to make all kinds of money because we have all this knowledge that's going to carry over. And what
yeah,
did
but
he
it's
do?
not knowledge, it's showmanship. That he's an entertainer. It's nothing to do with knowledge. You can always buy knowledge and buy people that give you the knowledge. It's not the knowledge. He's just an entertainer and knows how to make it work.
Yeah,
So
he spent some years trying to figure out the YouTube algorithm of how to
Yeah.
get viewers, how to keep people engaged.
yeah, he used to do a lot of shows about that, how to keep people engaged. And
Hmm.
yeah. But when you buy an island and you have and you're gonna have it, you buy an island and you have contestants and they have to do all this skill testing stuff and the winner gets the island, right? I mean, that's pretty, you get a lot of people watching that, right? That's sort of,
He bought an island?
oh yeah, he's done all sorts bought a boat, a huge tent. I mean, it's yeah, he does all sorts of stuff like that. Really crazy.
Yeah, he gives away like $10,000 to a homeless guy.
Yeah, but he does big stuff, really like big, like an island, and he flies
Wow.
everybody in, and then they have a big contest, and whoever wins at the end of
Gets
the
the
week,
island.
then he get the island. And he has production companies, cameras. He's the lead up to this goes on and on. I mean, it's just entertainment, right?
uh.
So, but the entertainment is on YouTube. And now YouTube, as you know, is the most successful, um, uh, I guess, multimedia or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it exceeds in the United States and Canada, it exceeds people watching television. More people watch YouTube than they watch television. It is an entertainment feature. In fact, I was going to mention Huey and I use a software program called Camtasia, right? And it's for video editing. I don't know if you downloaded Huey the update last week, but one of the formatting options now is for a format when you're loading it up to YouTube. One of the format in Camtasia is for a 65-inch TV. So they've actually, it's not just 1080p or 4K. They're actually formatting it for one of the
But
formatting options.
8K.
No, well, it's for a 65-inch TV. I'm not sure how, but they've labeled it as a 65-inch TV. So the focus on when you're producing stuff now is television. That's really what you're not just broadcasting out to YouTube on computers. You're broadcasting it out to television.
Yeah, I watched one of Mr. Beast's contests last night. It was the fastest human runner versus a robot, the fastest
okay.
robot, to see
Yeah.
who would win,
Who would win?
and the strongest man against the robot, to turn
Yeah.
over cars and pull over a bus.
What was the
blah, blah.
prize? What was the prize?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'd be a big prize. Like, he would be, I don't know, he'd give you maybe an airplane or something. He'd give you something really impressive.
Wow.
And who was
Yeah.
the winner?
Who was the winner of?
The winner on the strength was the human, and trying to think about the runner. It was very close, but I don't remember which one won between the robot or the human runner.
Which was what, Bolt?
No, it wasn't Bolt, but you would think maybe Bolt was the quickest in a certain race, but anyway, I don't remember who the runner was. I didn't know the name, but it wasn't Bolt. I would have known that name.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So, Mr. Beast.
Did you see the video about the Russian robot that
Yeah,
was
fell flat on
debuted?
its face. Flat on its face.
Yeah, they put up a screen.
Yeah.
A curtain. Just we had to all root for that because of Putin. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was really too upset, but it was funny. That was hilarious. Yeah. Well, it's amazing. I think probably in Huey and I's lifetime, as long as we have left, we'll probably see we'll be talking about robotic, who owns a robot, and you'll have most people ultimately will have robots working in their house, right?
Yeah.
And it's coming, and it will be, I think, probably in our lifetime. I really do. Particularly, when you look at elder care and people trying to live and stay in their own homes and all that sort of thing, and people are expensive and it's hard to get them, and there's all sorts of problems with that. I think that, the robots would be able to, some of the simple tasks that robots can do would be a big, big plus for that.
I want a robot that can cook.
Well, they actually have some. I know some of the fast food chains are using robots for cooking.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I've done some articles on that.
Yeah. But I think with cooking, it wouldn't be something that would be something that would be easier to have a robot deliver a service that was prepared somewhere rather than actually have the robot create the food in the house. I think that would be a huge technical challenge. It would be a lot easier to have a robot deliver a service for you, and those actually that's not too far off right now.
Well, they're
So-
using waiter robots now, like at Eastside Mario's, to deliver orders to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing that for 10 years at least in some places.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where, but I know that I've been to restaurants with my kids before COVID where that was the case.
So it's
And
coming.
then in Thailand, there's a restaurant where where the waiters come out and deliver it on roller skates because it's such a big restaurant. I think it seats 3,000.
Yep. That's for sure. Lots of interesting things. I mean, Ellie, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Okay, different subject, but I just have a quick question, I think. The Windows PowerShell black screen comes up on my GECOM mini computer now saying install the latest PowerShell for new features and tells me to go to https://aka.ms/ps Windows. Is that spam or do I trust it and do I do it? Do I have a PowerShell update? Does anybody know?
It's a normal message, and generally speaking, if you think you have a problem in that, yes, that link does work to get you the latest version. But
Do I wait until I need a PowerShell to use it before I update it?
PowerShell has been evolving for many, many, many years, and it's now called Terminal in 11. But still, it is PowerShell under the hood.
So you would suggest I do go here and tell it to update?
But odds are you're just fine for quite some time. But maybe once a year you might do something like that to make sure that you're reasonably up to date.
And the aka.ms as a link does not bother you. That's, because I saw that. I thought, what is that?
I've used it before, and I've also done PowerShell updates in another fashion with another tool like WinGet.
Yeah, I'd suggest using WinGet rather than clicking on the link.
How do you get WinGet?
You've probably
Watch my
already got it.
video.
They have it, but it's a command line version. You can also go into Microsoft Store and you can get a graphical user interface like what the heck the name of it now?
Something like something.
It's Uniget UI.
That's
Yeah,
it. Uniget.
Yeah.
Yeah, use that
That's
instead.
it.
Go to the Apple Store and get that, or the Microsoft Store and get that.
and that gives you a
But
graphical user interface that you have to learn how to use it. And
Oh, it's so easy though. It's so easy.
but Tim,
Uniget,
she'll never use.
UNIGET.UI.
Yeah,
No, no dot. It's just Uniget UI.
Oh,
but Tim, she'll never use that for anything because it's just a command line interface for using DOS commands, right?
but we didn't
No, it's for updating.
about
It
the
it'll
usage.
update all your programs.
Brought it up. So
It'll update
apparently
everything.
may be using command terminal. I use it, but I mean, I'm a different person than she is. But still, there's a lot of power and capability built into the terminal that a lot of people are not taking advantage of. And a lot of it can be very simple commands.
I have only used it when I've had a problem and then Microsoft or somebody tells me, oh, you need to go. And is it in the registry? Is this part of the registry?
It's just a command line interface where you type in commands to do have your computer do whatever
I think
it
it
needs.
used to be that I had to once in a while defrag something or some
Yeah, that would
one
be
of
one of
those.
the usage, but
I haven't done it that had to do with that with Windows 11. You haven't gotten that bill on your Windows 11 computer?
no, I haven't.
You
I
don't
don't
need
use
to
it.
do it on SSDs. In
I
fact,
don't
you
use.
shouldn't do it on an SSD.
In fact, you shouldn't do it on SSDs.
I don't
The
use it.
defrag. But what about the PowerShell update?
PowerShell is just.
Look at his video about how to use Uniget because that
Oh,
is what you really want to do. Because it's
so
I
I
easy,
just
go
put
on
and
YouTube
you
like
don't need to use
everybody
the
else
command.
does.
Yeah, you don't need to use the command line, and it will update all your programs, not
Okay,
just. It'll update everything that needs updating.
I will Google that and see if there's a YouTube video on it. Thank you.
Monsignor, did you have a question or a concern or anything you wanted to mention? I thought you had your hand up before. Drew, do you have a
I
comment then?
yeah, I just put into the chat the winget command that specifically upgrades PowerShell. So you just open up a command prompt and type that in, and it will paste it in, and it will upgrade.
Okay,
Very good, Drew. Thanks.
excellent.
Excuse me, I need to apologize. This is Donna. Huey's is the only email address I have. And I thought that article about using your brain was really interesting. That's why I mentioned Huey's name. I don't think he has any cognitive decline. So please forgive me if it came out the wrong way.
I thought it fit him perfectly.
No, totally not.
Anyway, if you want to just post the link in the chat, just post it in the chat. Then anyone that wants to look at it or read it can see it.
Carl says he's here but without a mic.
Well, that's a calming experience. Just Carl, tell me you got 100%. Just put it in the chat. I want to know if you got 100% on the quiz. The quiz this week was the big news was, of course, Miss A plus is now available in Canada. So the quiz this week was all about Miss A plus and what is Miss A plus, and it was about Miss A plus. So um, so I said, so I thought, oh boy, it's Hugh's got it and he really likes it. So I thought I'll sign up for it because I have Amazon Prime. And so when I asked Miss A to do that for me, it said we'll put you on the waiting list. So
Yes.
so I got on the waiting list. So we'll see.
Or you can just go buy and miss a new appliance and get it right away.
That's right. That's true. I sort of spent my wad this week on Amazon on Black Friday. I've blown my Black Friday budget already. So
What did you? Oh, you bought a robot again?
yeah, I bought another robot. I can't help myself, but I'm gonna do a video about it. I decided to buy it because I wanted to make another robotic vacuum video. So I bought it for you guys, and I'm gonna do that. That's one of my goals, and I'm gonna do that. So, but anyway, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'll tell
You
you all
should
about
check
it.
out.
I did my Amazon was out of my cereal, so I had to go and buy it at Walmart. But last week I went trying to use Walmart, and my Walmart credit card didn't work. So I phoned them yesterday, and they said, "Well, you didn't use it. You haven't used it for a little while." I said, "Well, I don't go there very often anymore." She said, "Well, I've reinstated it, but make sure you use it before the next billing cycle, or it'll be canceled again."
All right, we've got to
I
get
said, "You
going.
mean you got to use it every billing cycle?" She said, "Pretty much."
Yeah. All right, we got to get going here. Huey, I'll let you admit all these people coming in. Can I leave that to you?
Yep.
And
And
we will get.
also L, I put in the chat the Winget video I
Okay,
did.
good. All right, we'll mute everyone and we'll get going. Good morning, everybody. Huey, it is November 24th, episode 294. So we're getting up there
Yep.
as we move forward here. So, and welcome. It's, of course, Thanksgiving this week in the United States. So hopefully everybody is going to have a great time with their families and a great turkey dinner. But just if you are on Thursday and you are wondering what to do with yourselves and you're getting, maybe you're getting kicked out of the kitchen or something and you've got a whole bunch of extra time, you can watch Tech for Senior live because we will be on. Huey and I and Mike will be doing the show this Thursday. So even though it is a holiday, we're sticking it out there and we are going to do our Thursday show. Now, however, we're taking a holiday in December, so the Thursday show will be no more on them because we'll be away for December. But that doesn't mean we're going to be away from the Monday show. The Monday show will continue on, and in fact, just for all you news-hungry people who are just so demanding that you have to have some news, we're going to add a 10-minute news segment into the Monday show, and so you'll be able to have some news. So we'll be adding a 10-minute segment in December into the Monday show for the news, and we'll go over all the news articles of the week. So the Monday show stays the same. It'll always be on Monday. Snow, rain, sleet, whatever. It will always be on Monday. But for the month of December, we're going to take our Thursday show and we'll put a 10-minute segment in there. Did I explain that correctly, Huey? Did I get it right?
I think so. It sounded like you weren't too confused.
Is that right? Okay. All right. Good. So just so everybody understands that. And of course, the newsletter will go on as well. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention before I introduce everybody today, I'd like to. It came up on another meeting this prior week, and it had to do with security and I guess personal privacy. And I just want to let everybody know this meeting is comprised of our social section, which is in the front of the video. Then we have the recording that's published starts when I say, welcome everyone, Huey, da 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 da. And then we cut it off for our publication right before the question and answer. So the social part before and the question and answer are not part of the published show. So whatever you say in the before and after does not get published on YouTube. So it is only published. The only time part of the show that we publish is the beginning and right till I say we're going to do the Q&A. Other than that, everything there. And then of course we admit the music segment for copyright reasons. So you can say whichever you want. I guess there's more people concerned about what they say, and and when you're putting it on a social media platform. So you can say whatever you want because we don't, and we've always done that. I've never put the social part in the front. It's never been recorded and put on. The Q&A at the back, I stopped putting that in about 1.5 years ago. Nobody seemed to notice. Anyway, we just stopped doing it. So that's it. And what do we got? Oh, so for the premiere video today, we have 3 things. I'm going to be talking about AI prompts, what a prompt is and how to use it. Huey's going to talk about artificial general intelligence, AGI, and he's also going to talk about finding phone numbers. So all that in our premiere version, premiere video at 1:30. Let me introduce everyone today. Of course, we have Huey Popluck, who will be, of course, running the show next Monday, which is great. Welcome, Huey.
I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. And Bill James, I don't see you there. Are you there? He's got
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here. Sorry.
Let's see your smiling face.
I was getting a cup of tea.
Oh, okay. Great. And excellent. And you're telling me, I thought you were using, I like your Mac camera. You're so clear. But you're using, which one are you using today? You're using
This is the Logitech Brio that I have on my all-in-one that's here in the kitchen.
Excellent.
That I actually use as a TV, but I also use it as a computer.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a good camera. That's a good one. Mike Lehman from Moncton, New Brunswick. Mike, welcome, and we look forward to your music and video selection today. I told you you're a regular on our Saturday night ritual now. We have to look and we watch your movie every Saturday night. I told you, my wife said, tell Mike, enough of dogs. So,
Oh yeah, but they are good dog movies.
I know they were good dogs.
They're kind of feel good movies, you know. And but anyways, no dog movie for this week, and no dog movie for next week.
So if they make a Max Goes to the Moon or something,
we might have to go to that. But no, I gotta warn you, come December, holiday season movies are fair game.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Max goes to the North Pole.
Max goes to the North Pole.
Right. Okay. All right. I think that's it. We should probably get going. The first video we have today for you is one by myself. And it's about Nano Banana. Now you might say, what's Nano Banana? Well, you should know that. But it's very interesting because I read an article this morning about Gemini and how it's taking up more and more of ChatGPT's market. Like it's sort of surging ahead now from not ahead of ChatGPT, but it's moving up. And one of the primary things about that is, of course, the new Gemini version, but also Nano Banana. So it's important to know what Nano Banana is and some of the controversy about it. So let me just play this and we'll see what they have to say about it.
All right, so Google has dropped its brand new AI image generator Nano Banana Pro, and wow, is it making some waves. But here's the thing, the buzz isn't just about its incredible new features. The launch itself was, well, let's just say it was complicated. So let's break down what makes this tool such a professional game changer and why it's sparked so much debate. And that complication? It really kicks off with the price tag. The second this thing launched, the conversation wasn't just about its power, it was about who actually gets to use it. This tension, between pro-level capability and accessibility, that's the core of the whole debate. And we're going to dig into it as we unpack what this Pro tool can really do. So first, to really get a handle on Nano Banana Pro, we have to look back at what came before it. This isn't just some minor update. It is a direct response to all the limitations of the original model. The one that went viral for being fun, but was held back by some pretty clear weaknesses. Yeah, you probably remember these issues, right? The original was awesome for fun portraits, but if you tried to put any text in there, forget it. You just get this garbled nonsense mess. And everything, I mean everything, was stuck in that 1:1 square aspect ratio. That was a huge, huge roadblock if you were trying to do any kind of serious work. And this slide right here shows just how massive that leap forward is. I mean, just look at the comparison. We're going from 1K resolution all the way up to native 4K. We're going from text you can't even read to sharp, usable typography, and from basically no editing tools to having advanced control over lighting and camera angles. This is the jump from a fun toy to a serious, professional tool. But here's the thing, the upgrade is so much more than just better pixels. The biggest change, honestly, is how intelligent the model is. It's not just spitting out an image anymore, it's actually reasoning about your prompt before it even starts to draw. They're calling this new feature thinking mode. So when you turn this on, the model actually goes through this whole internal reasoning process. It's basically creating rough drafts and refining its own plan behind the scenes, all to make sure the final image is coherent and exactly what you asked for. Okay, let's see this in action. This shows the thinking trace for just one prompt. Create an infographic explaining the dataset open source project. So first the model hits Google search to grab the info. Then it maps out a workflow, sketches the structure, and finally it builds the polished graphic. The end result? A complex, accurate infographic from just a 9-word prompt. That is absolutely incredible. And this new intelligence, it spreads out to all these other key features. It can ground its images in real-time search data so they're factually accurate. It can finally render text that you can actually read. And it has enough real-world knowledge to generate super technical diagrams, like a chemical reactor, for serious R&D work. All of this new brainpower leads to the next huge leap forward: creative control. Nano Banana Pro basically puts a whole suite of professional-grade tools right in your hands, giving you a level of precision we just haven't seen before. I mean, just look at this example. With a super simple prompt, change to night, the model realistically transforms the entire scene. It adjusts all the lighting, the shadows, the reflections. This kind of fine-grained control over a scene's physics is a total game changer. It also handles some incredible complexity. Get this, Nano Banana Pro can take up to 14 different reference images. We're talking product photos, logos, character models, you name it, and blend them all seamlessly into one single, cohesive scene. That is a massive advantage for creating complex work. And the list of new controls just goes on and on. You can now change camera angles, you can adjust the depth of field to shift your focus, and you can finally break free from that 1:1 aspect ratio jail. And maybe most importantly, it can keep characters consistent across multiple scenes, which is a huge win for any kind of storytelling. So with all these new features, where does a tool like this actually fit in? Well, we're already seeing it being integrated directly into the places where creative and technical pros are doing their day-to-day work. And here is the absolute biggest piece of news. Adobe. Nano Banana Pro is now plugged directly into Adobe Firefly and Photoshop, and it's powering features like generative fill. That single move right there establishes it as a legit, high-end tool for literally millions of creative professionals. This just blows the doors open for all kinds of professional uses. You've got creative teams brainstorming campaigns, marketing teams generating localized ads, and R&D departments visualizing complex technical concepts. It can even take a rough napkin sketch and turn it into a polished, realistic product mock-up. Now, here's a really crucial strategic detail that a lot of people are missing. This model was trained entirely on Google's own custom hardware, their TPUs, not on the NVIDIA chips that pretty much everyone else uses. This gives Google a massive infrastructure advantage. It's a signal that Nano Banana Pro isn't just some experiment. It is a very serious, long-term play for the professional AI market. Which brings us right back to where we started, the price of all this power. Because for all of its incredible new capabilities, getting access to the full potential of Nano Banana Pro, well, it comes at a cost. And that has sparked a really heated debate in the community. This chart just lays it all out, crystal clear. If you're on the free tier, you're getting what, 3 images a day? Barely anything. But to get any real volume, you have to be a paid subscriber. And that's where the access just scales dramatically. This whole tiered system is really at the heart of the community's frustration. And for developers who are using the API, the cost is very real. About 24 cents for just one 4K image. Now that might not sound like a lot, but believe me, it adds up incredibly fast when you're trying out different creative ideas, which makes high volume use really expensive for independent creators or small teams. And this slide, it just perfectly captures both sides of the argument. On one side, you have users who feel like the cost is just totally out of reach. But on the other, you've got developers pointing out that, hey, this is computationally expensive work, and it's just not reasonable to expect a service this advanced to be free. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, despite the fiery debate over the cost, there is no denying that Nano Banana Pro is a massive leap forward. It's a smarter, more controllable, and truly professional-grade tool that is already starting to reshape creative and technical workflows. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. We now have AI that can turn a scribble into a finished product and a simple sentence into a data-driven infographic. So the real question isn't just about what this tech can do today, but what does it mean for the entire future of creative work?
Okay, Nano Banana. Moving on to something a little bit different. This week I had the opportunity of working with Jim Ham to help him decide on what smartwatch he was going to buy, and he eventually saw one of my videos, and he will talk about his purchase a little bit later on. So I've done a lot of smartwatch videos on healthcare applications for seniors, and I wanted just to review that again in light of the holidays, because the watch I'm going to recommend, we call it the $99 watch that will save your life. So that's how I've done this video. Sit back, relax, and just enjoy it. It's going to take about 20 minutes to roll through. So today we're going to look at peripherals. These peripherals include smartwatches and rings. These information gather data, usually cardiac data, and send the information back to your smartphone. Today I'm going to give a bit of a deeper dive in that and give you my perspective as a physician. Now this is a little different from reporters who usually talk about this, and when they come to things like ECG, they say, oh, that's so important, it does an ECG. But they don't really understand why that's important. So I'm going to give a bit of a different perspective today. I'm also going to tell you what smartwatch my wife and I wear, and this might surprise you. Stay tuned, this should be a lot of fun today, and I'm going to give you some good advice. I'm Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we help seniors understand technology and help them manage their health, particularly in getting knowledge about specific devices such as smartphones and peripheral devices like watches and rings. Remember, this is the second in a 5-part series I'm doing, and this is episode number 2. Now, there are many benefits to wearing peripheral devices such as watches and rings, and we're going to go through a lot of them in this series. But in this video, I'm going to tell you that everybody over the age of 60 should be wearing a smartwatch for 2 specific reasons. And we're going to talk about those 2 reasons and what my advice is and which watches you should be wearing. So the first graph I'm going to show you is the incidence of pacemaker insertion over the age of 60. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. So the graph on the screen is the incidence of pacemaker insertion based on age. And if you look, you'll see that after the age of 60, the incidence goes up not linearly, it goes up exponentially. So by the time you get to 70, lots of your friends are going to have pacemakers. And by the time you get to be 80, you're going to have lots of friends with pacemakers. So it goes up exponentially. Now, why is this so important? Well, let me give you 2 examples. 2 years ago, a lady in the town that I live in, Comox, British Columbia, was driving along and she was going to fill up gas at a convenience store. She had a medical event, passed out, drove through the pumps into the store. This caused a huge fire and burnt down the mini mall that she was in. The problem was there was a 300-pound propane tank attached to this because they sold propane. And there were 300 residents in the newly built apartment complex just next door. This could have turned out to be a total disaster. Fortunately, the firemen got the fire out quickly and they rescued the lady as well. So other than big disaster, there was no loss of life. Let me tell you about my second personal experience. Good friend of mine, a dentist from Nebraska, I've known for 30 years, had some symptoms. He was up on some scaffolding on his house. He passed out, fell off the scaffolding, broke a number of bones, and had a severe head injury. Today, after 1.5 years of therapy, he still has a significant brain injury, needs care, and will not be driving anymore. Had he had his pacemaker put in prior to the accident, none of this would have happened. So in your communities, you'll hear stories about medical events happening. A senior lost control of the car, went across a couple of lanes, maybe smashed into a restaurant, killing a young family of 5. These are very common reported accidents. And these are all because when your heart rate goes down to a very slow rate, the blood doesn't flow to your brain. And this causes you to pass out. And if you're driving a car, this could be disastrous. So we definitely need to know when your heart rate is too slow. So the first tip I'm going to give you when we're looking at purchasing a smartwatch to monitor our pulse, because we want to figure out if our pulse is too slow, we want to pick a watch. And most of them do this, no matter how cheap the watch is. They do a good job of measuring your pulse. But what you want to be able to do is to be notified if your pulse is too slow or too fast. Now, in the case of a pacemaker, it's going to be too slow. So you'll want to be able to control what the setting is on the slow side so it will notify you. So when you get your watch, I want you to set it up and I want you to set the minimum heart rate before you get notified would be 60. And if your heart rate goes lower than 60, you need to talk to your healthcare provider. Now, a lot of blood pressure medicines you take do slow your heart rate down. And so that may not be abnormal. So your caregiver may decide that you should go from 60 maybe to 55 or maybe even down to 50 before you get notified. But if your heart rate goes lower than 50, then you need a thorough investigation just to make absolutely sure that you are not moving into that dangerous area where your heart is slowing down enough, you're going to lose circulation to your brain and require a pacemaker. And remember, this goes up exponentially. The incidence of this is very, very common. So if you get to be 70 years old, it is very, very high probability that sometime you may need a pacemaker. All right, so the second reason why it is so important that you have a smartwatch is to pick up if your heart rate is going too fast. Yes, too fast. And that could be a condition called atrial fibrillation. And this is where your heart rate speeds up. Now, again, as you look at the incidence on this graph, it's almost exactly the same graph. It goes up exponentially after the age of 60. Now, the problem with atrial fibrillation are twofold. The first, of course, is that there's a 5 times incidence of stroke. So if you have this condition, there's a 5 times increased incidence that you may have a stroke. And this is really a bad thing. I mean, if you have a stroke, you may not be able to drive again. You may not be able to live in your house anymore. You may need extended care. There's all sorts of things you don't want to get a stroke. So the other problem with atrial fibrillation is over half the people that have atrial fibrillation don't know they have it. So it's hard to diagnose, because if you don't have any symptoms, how are you going to know that you have atrial fibrillation until you end up in the hospital with a stroke? So if we had a way of helping those folks and identifying people that have atrial fibrillation, and it's common, because if you saw that exponential graph, if we could help those, if we could find those people, identify them and get them help, then this would be a big improvement in people's well-being. So remember that watch that set the minimum heartbeat? We're looking for slow heartbeats for your pacemaker. Now we want to look at fast heartbeats. So you're going to take that same watch that you've bought, because it will let you now set a maximum heartbeat to be notified. And I'm going to tell you to set it at 130 beats per minute. And if your heart rate goes over that, then you're going to see your healthcare provider. Talk it over with your healthcare provider. They may want to do some testing on that. And if it's okay, then we could increase it to maybe 140. But anything over 140, then you need to get that checked out for sure to make sure it's not atrial fibrillation. So we have two conditions now that you can, just by getting a simple smartwatch that measures your pulse. It's very easy for these devices to measure your pulse, and you want to set it to a minimum and maximum heartbeat, and you're going to pick up the two deadliest and most important reasons for wearing a smartwatch. So wouldn't it be great if, when your heart rate sped up and it was over 130 and you were concerned and wondering, do I have atrial fibrillation, if we could actually do an ECG or EKG, they're the same, test, and it would identify it right there. And this came out about 10 years ago on the Apple Watch was the first to have this. And this is now the ability on smartwatches, certain smartwatches that are approved by the FDA, to do an ECG. It will actually do an ECG on your wrist, and it will tell you if you are or are not in atrial fibrillation. This was a big step forward in health with smartwatches. But it even got better. So let's think a little bit more about this. Now, I've already told you that half the people that have atrial fibrillation don't know they have it. So how are you going to help those folks? Well, you'd have to sort of monitor it on your pulse on a continual basis, right? To try and figure this out, because if you don't have any symptoms, how would you know when to push the button to do an ECG on your watch? So the next breakthrough occurred about 5 years later, and these devices with the improving sensors, were able to do periodic testing on your heartbeat through the day. Now, it's not continuous, but they would monitor it periodically and try and pick up periods of atrial fibrillation. Now, one of the problems with the sensors we had 5 years ago, of course, were they weren't as good as we have now, and we really required you to be resting when they were trying to monitor this as you went around with your daily activity. So it would pick it up periodically through the day and mostly at night. And that's one of the really critical things about watches, is that you need to wear these devices at night, because a lot of the monitoring occurs at night because you're resting. When you're up walking around and moving, it's harder for these sensors to diagnose atrial fibrillation. And that came out about 5 years ago. And again, the Samsung, the Apple, the Google Fitbit, and Pixel watches all have been approved by the FDA to do this periodic monitoring, and it will notify you if there's any periods of atrial fibrillation. Okay, so let's go to fast forward where we are today. And there is one watch that leads the pack because the sensors are so good. this is a watch that actually has sensors that will actually monitor you on a continual basis. Yes, so it's continuous monitoring and will pick up any atrial fibrillation. The other thing is, I often get asked about, if you have atrial fibrillation, is there any advantage in wearing a smartwatch? In all the watches, when you go to enroll into the app, it says, do you have atrial fibrillation? And if you say yes, it won't allow you to use that feature on the watch. But with this one watch, it does. And you then gives you the option, if you do have atrial fibrillation, it's going to measure how long your heart is in atrial fibrillation, what were the aggravating and relieving factors, how long were you in atrial fibrillation, and it's going to document that and send that information to your healthcare provider. Oh my gosh, if I had that when I was practicing, it would have made my life so much easier. And this watch is really the one that stands out way ahead of the pack. And that, folks, is of course the Apple Watch. All right, let's talk about rings. But remember, we're focusing on the over 60 age group, and we're looking for two medical conditions. One is, remember, a slow heartbeat that is going to require a pacemaker, and a fast heartbeat, which may be atrial fibrillation. And how do the rings compare, and would I recommend them? Now, the two rings that we have on the market today are, of course, the Oura Ring, which has been around for a number of years. You wear it on your finger. It measures certain health parameters and sends that information back to the app on your smartphone. We also have the newly released this past year, the Samsung Ring, which does pretty much the same thing by gathering information off your finger and sending the information back to the app on your phone. Now, based on what I've said earlier this presentation, I would not recommend that you purchase either of these two devices for the information we've just discussed. Let me talk about first the Oura Ring, which has been around the longest. The Oura Ring measures your heartbeat, but it mostly does that at night and gives you an average. This is really not helpful in trying to diagnose those conditions because we need real-time monitoring and notification. It's a complete waste of time, and I would not recommend at all the Oura Ring for the health benefits that we've discussed in this video. And the second one is the Samsung Ring. Now, this is an interesting ring because, of course, it does do the minimum and maximum heart rate notification. Exactly that what I asked you for in the first part of this video. So why am I not recommending the Samsung Ring? Well, because of the cost. The cost is $100 more than the Samsung Watch. And the Samsung Watch is an excellent product. It not only does it measure your maximum minimum heart rate, it also will do your blood pressure, and it will also do the atrial fibrillation detection. It does a whole bunch more for a lot less money. So I cannot recommend the Samsung Ring. Now, the other important thing that you must understand is that when we're talking about Samsung and we're talking about the health app, is the health app only works with a Samsung phone. But the health app does not work with all Samsung phones. So before you go and invest in either a Samsung Ring or a Samsung Watch, you better make sure that you have a Samsung phone and that the health app works on that to communicate. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the health monitoring features on those devices. In summary, I don't think the rings are a good option for someone over age of 60 looking for the cardiac issues that we've talked about today. So the last little bonus tip for you is I often get asked, is there any benefit in wearing a smartwatch if you have a cardiac pacemaker? And the answer to that question is no. And the reason is, of course, is because your cardiac pacemaker will be set to a minimum amount and your heart rate isn't going to go below that. So there's no reason to be monitoring that with a smartwatch. The other issue is with atrial fibrillation. And most pacemakers now will be in constant communication through wireless technology with your cardiologist. And if you have any bouts of atrial fibrillation, they will know and contact you. Also, when you go in to have your pacemaker checked at 6 months, they check the battery every 6 months. They'll be able to download the software, which will have scanned your heart for all those beats and make sure that there's no evidence of atrial fibrillation. So you're covered in both ways for that. And there really is no point from a cardiac point of view of wearing a smartwatch if you have a pacemaker. You're all wondering, what watch do I wear with my wife? Well, I clearly want the cardiac benefit. I want to be able to pick up those two things I discussed today. So I want a watch that gives me the maximum minimum heartbeat, is going to pick up atrial fibrillation and all the things we talked about today. But I don't have an iPhone. If I had an iPhone, I would have an Apple Watch. And in trying to figure out what my choice is, I also considered the cost, because these watches are expensive. And the clear winner here was the Fitbit Charge 6. Now, the Fitbit Charge 6 has all the advanced cardiac monitoring that the Pixel watch has. So they're exactly the same, and it has all those features on it, but it's a lot cheaper. In fact, in the United States, the watch sells roughly for around $160 regular, but it's on sale all the time for about $99. In Canada, it sells for around $210, and it's on for about I think it's on sale now at Costco for $169. And these watches have this is the Charge 6, have all the advanced cardiac monitoring that the Pixel watch does. So it's called the Fitbit Charge 6, and that's what I wear, and that's what my wife wears. So hopefully that's been helpful for you today. Be sure and click that like and subscribe, because we have 3 more videos coming out. We're going to talk about all sorts of... All right, Huey.
Yes.
Are you there?
I am here.
Thunderbird. Now, everyone, there's all sorts of people that are listening here. They're all using Thunderbird. Now, what in the world, why would you want to use Thunder? What is Thunderbird, and why would you want to use it? Can you help us with that?
I can, because of Drew. Drew helped me get started with it, and I am glad I did. So let's go ahead and take a look. And I didn't hit the right button, so we're going to stop the share and do that again. Advanced video file. Now we should be able to find it. A complete guide to Thunderbird for everyday users. I'm Huey Poplock. Today we'll explore Mozilla's flagship email solution. We'll cover what makes Thunderbird unique, its strengths and limitations, and see it in action. This balanced overview will help you decide if Thunderbird fits your email needs. Our agenda includes an introduction to Thunderbird's background and positioning, the advantages, why millions choose Thunderbird, an honest discussion of limitations and challenges, and finally some live demonstrations. Thunderbird is Mozilla's free open source email client, the same organization behind Firefox. It was launched in 2004. It's been serving users over 20 years. Unlike web-based mail, Thunderbird is desktop software you install locally. Cross-platform, works on Windows, Mac, Linux, and phones. Just more than email. It's a complete communication suite with calendar, contacts, and chat. It's currently used by millions worldwide, from individuals to large organizations. Email management, multiple accounts, advanced filtering, powerful search. Calendar integration, built-in Lightning calendar for scheduling and events. Address book, comprehensive contact management with groups and custom fields. Extensions, thousands of add-ons to customize functionality. Cross-platform, same experience across all the operating systems. Security, built-in encryption, digital signatures, and privacy controls. These features make Thunderbird a complete productivity solution, not just an email reader. Now let's explore why Thunderbird has such a loyal user base. We'll examine 3 key categories that set it apart. These benefits explain why many users choose Thunderbird over commercial alternatives. Each advantage addresses real user needs and concerns. It's 100% free. No licensing fees, no subscription costs, no hidden charges. It's open source, complete transparency. You can examine the code yourself. Community driven, development guided by user needs, not corporate profits. No vendor lock-in. Your data remains yours. Export anytime. This combination is rare in today's software landscape, where most solutions require ongoing payments. Open source means security vulnerabilities are quickly identified and fixed by the global community. Strong encryption, built-in support for SMIME and OpenPGP encryption. Local data storage. Your emails stay on your computer, not in the corporate clouds. No data mining. Mozilla doesn't scan your emails for advertising or analytics. User control. You decide what data to share and with whom. This is crucial in today's privacy-conscious environment. Unlike Gmail or Outlook.com, Thunderbird doesn't build advertising profiles from your communications. It's perfect for organizations with strict data compliance requirements. There's a flexible interface, customized layouts, toolbars, and workflows to your preferences. Extensive add-ons, over 1,000 extensions available for specialized needs. Theme support, change the entire look and feel to match your style. Advanced configuration, power users can fine-tune every aspect. This level of customization is unmatched by web-based email clients. Examples: automatic email sorting, advanced spam filtering, integration with external tools. You could truly make Thunderbird work the way you work. To give you a complete picture, let's honestly discuss Thunderbird's limitations. Every software has trade-offs, and Thunderbird is no exception. Understanding these challenges helps you make an informed decision. These aren't deal breakers for everyone, but they're important to consider. A dated interface. The UI hasn't kept pace with modern design trends. Complexity for beginners. Many features can overwhelm new users. Steeper learning curve. More complex than simple webmail interfaces. The interface reflects Thunderbird's power user heritage. New users often find the abundance of options confusing initially. However, this complexity enables the advanced features that power users love. Resource usage. It can consume significant RAM with large mailboxes. Slow startup. It takes longer to launch than web-based alternatives. Stability issues. Occasional crashes, especially with many add-ons. Limited mobile integration. No official mobile app sync can be complex. These issues are most noticeable with very large email archives, 100,000 plus messages. Performance has improved in recent versions, but still lags behind some competitors. Mobile limitation is significant in today's smartphone-centric world. Now for the exciting part, seeing Thunderbird in action. I'll walk you through key features using live installation. This hands-on demonstration will show you exactly how Thunderbird works. Pay attention to the workflow and interface. This is what daily use looks like. Account setup. How easy is it to set up email accounts? Email management, organizing, filtering, and searching messages. Calendar integration, scheduling and event management. Add-ons installation, extending functionality with extensions. Security features, encryption, and privacy controls in action. Thunderbird excels for users who value privacy, customization, and control. The best fit: power users, privacy-conscious individuals, organizations with compliance needs. Remember, you can always try it risk-free alongside your current email solution. Let's take a look at some demos and some screenshots. Thunderbird demo overview is going to be, we're going to talk about email management, calendar integration, add-ons, security features, and account setup. We're actually going to set up a full account. Here's what Thunderbird looks like, and if you want to create a new message, you just click that little box that says new message. Also, you can have unified folders, so you can have folders for each of the email accounts that you have in Thunderbird, but you can look at them all at once. When you look at unified folders, all of the emails down the list are from all of your emails, so some of them may be in a throwaway account, so you've got to be careful that it still could be a junk mail or spam, and you might not want to do that. It will show all of the mails in order that you have preferred, and you can change the orders by type, by the person, and so on. I do it by date. And these are the emails as they come in. You can see that starting at 4 o'clock up to 6:42. The ones that are not in bold print means I've already read them. If it's in bold print, I have not read them. You have a search and a filter message that you can use. The search bar, this searches everything in all of your folders. It's located at the top. You type a word. Thunderbird builds a search results screen, includes a timeline of when the emails arrive. It lets users click and jump to the actual message. This is the best tool for finding old emails you received. The quick filter bar, this is the fastest way to find things. It has buttons of unread, starred, in contact, tags, attachments, and clear button. It's great for finding emails right now, especially during meetings or travel. Then you have choices when you look at your email. You can reply, forward, you can archive it, you can mark it as spam, and as soon as you mark it as spam, it takes it out of your inbox and puts it in the spam box. We'll also mark that sender as a person who sends spam. All of the mails will go from that person into that bucket, so you want to be careful. You can also delete, and then there's a few more things that you can do with your emails. The calendar, it looks a lot like Google Calendar, and because I have listed some calendars here, I added it to the top one, which is my Gmail calendar. If I add something here, it adds it to my Gmail, to my main calendar that I look at on a regular basis. If I delete it from that calendar, it will also delete it here. Add-ons, the one thing about Thunderbird, there are thousands of add-ons. You can do a search and find them. These are some of the popular ones: the Thunderbird Conversations, Quick Folders, Mail Merge is a very popular one, and down at the bottom is Enex, which add import and export functionalities of Evernote export file. So if I get an email and I want to put it in Evernote, I can use Enex. I tell it to export it, and then I can import it right away into my Evernote. Security and privacy, remote content blocking prevents tracking. Phishing alerts warn about suspicious links. Junk filtering learns what to block. End-to-end encryption options are built in. There are no ads, no data scanning, and it's privacy by design in Thunderbird. If you want to add an account, I'm going to show you how next. Let's see how easy it is to add another email account to Thunderbird. We're going to come up here. We're going to click on account settings. We're going to go to new account and mail account. Now we're going to type in the fellow's name and his email address. That's the email address we want. It's going to say what the password is. Select what? Mozilla Thunderbird email, and so on. So we're going to say Mozilla email. Select all. We want to read, compose, send, and permanently delete all your email. Okay. We want to see, edit, delete, permanently delete your contacts, and edit and share, permanent delete all the calendars. Let's not do those two. Let's just do the read, compose. We could do all of them. And we say continue. We're going to use IMAP and continue. No address books found, that's fine. No calendars found, that's fine. We're going to continue. Email account connected successfully. Finish. All right, there it is, all the information about it. So let's come back here, and we see we now have that email address, and there is all of the emails that have been sitting there since 2015. It's one I haven't used in a while. But I added it now to my list within Thunderbird. That's how easy it is to add a new address, especially a Gmail. Final thoughts. Powerful yet simple email management for all users. Strong security and privacy with no ads or tracking. Highly customizable with hundreds of extensions. Integrated calendar, contacts, and task tools. Excellent option for seniors wanting clarity and control. That's Thunderbird. A complete guide to Thunderbird for everyday users. I'm Huey Poplock. And there you go.
Huey, I'll add that there's now an Android application for Thunderbird as well.
Yes, and I have it running on my my phone on my Pixel phone. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Huey. Very interesting. I'm sure there'll be lots of. I've got a few questions for you. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions in the Q&A. We'll reserve those because Mike has to get on with our entertainment section now. So, Mike, before I'll just while you're setting up, I'll just say goodbye to everybody over on our YouTube feed. If you want to pop over and participate in our Q&A, we have lots of room for you. And if don't forget our Thursday show, and we'll be back next week on Monday. And have a great Thanksgiving.